Well, good Saturday morning, everybody. Oh my goodness. I was only gone for a week and it feels like it was forever. Happy Saturday, everybody, and welcome to another information packed and exciting episode of House Talk Pregame. I'm your host, sports mental health empowerment coach, Dr. Lauren Pitts. But I was married now, y'all. I was married.
Can we
Yes, yes,
can we
yes.
say welcome back to the club?
Yeah,
It's almost like you wore white tee to the club trying to get in. They told you couldn't get in, so you had to come back with the appropriate attire. But welcome back.
yes. I was married now. But this is what I tell folks. So my married name is Bounds. So I'm legally going to be Lauren Bounds, but because I'm building this brand and have been working on this brand, and look, and my family shed the blood, sweat, and tears for me to become Dr. Lauren Denise Pitts for the purpose of work and this amazing show and all of this work that we're doing across domains with behavioral mental health and in the sports arena. I will always be Dr. Lauren Pitts. But it's, for income tax purposes and stuff. we're getting my share of the Lions pride. I'm gonna be I'm Lauren Bounds. So super excited about that. Super excited to be back. And Ronnie, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. You are my ride or die co-host extraordinaire. Y'all held it down. Can I just tell you? Look, in my suite last week, I had the show on, right? And people were coming into my suite. They're like, "Who is that talking?" And in the bedroom, I was like, "Shut up! That's my show." They were like, "Really? Really? You're working?" I said, "I'm not working. I'm not on the show. I'm just listening attentively to my co-host do the darn thing with the guest co-host." You all held it down. As always, you did an extraordinary job last week. I am so eternally thankful and grateful.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
To you. I'm super hyped because I'm going to introduce our guest a little later on. But you all got that Virginia State, bond going on. And it's just been an amazing journey. So I want to tell our viewing and our listening audience, for our team here at Pregame, it's all about family. It is all about family. It's about your family. It's about our family. It's about our HBCU families all across the country. It's about Black and Brown families all across the country. And we always put this disclaimer out there that even though Ronnie and I are very passionate about sharing this information week after week for Black and Brown folks, for real, this information that we share is relevant to anybody. It
Absolutely.
really is relevant to anybody. The information that we share day after day with our social media posts, it's information that anybody can glean from. But because we are of Black and Brown hue, and because we are aware of the challenges that we face as a people, as we are honoring, the anniversary of George Floyd's death and everything that has come as a result of that, and the injustice and the just so many issues that we face as persons of color around the country. So that's why our emphasis is there, because we recognize in our communities that so oftentimes decisions are made based on wrong and limited information. So Ronnie and I pride ourselves week after week on making sure that we're a part of the solution and not a part of the problem. And that's what HT Pregame is all about. It's about sharing solutions within a behavioral mental health and an athletic context for our viewing and listening audiences. We love that you join us week after week to get this powerful, albeit raw. It is raw. It's always raw. Raw life, sports, and mental health information that we really believe that you need and can benefit from to make well-informed athletic and life transforming decisions. We want you to remember that week after week at this same time on Heritage Sports Radio Network, we compete against ourselves at 11 a.m. We are on Heritage Sports Radio Network. We're also on HSRN at 10 p.m. on Saturday evenings and at 6 o'clock on Sundays. So if you miss any of these shows, you can go to our social media platforms and click on the link and listen. You can go to my website, drlaurendpitts.com. But more importantly, we want you to download that HSRN app. We want you to be tuning in and become an active member of the HSRN family, because we're pushing over half a million nationwide listening audience now. So we hype about that. And we want you to be a part of that listening audience too. So look, I'm gonna pass it off to Ronnie, because boy, do we got a show lined up for you today.
Yes, ma'am.
Ronnie.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And once again, congratulations, Dr. Pitts Bounds. We know you are bound to your husband now. Congratulations again. The wedding was beautiful last week. Glad you got to be a part of it virtually. But no, it was definitely beautiful. Congrats to you and your husband. I wish y'all nothing but success moving forward. And remember, even on those tough days, y'all got each other. That's all y'all have. So,
That's right.
Definitely hold on to that and cherish the vows that y'all said to each other, So once again, congratulations to you on that. But like she said, we have an amazing show today, an amazing show, kind of piggybacking off what we talked about last week. So last week we talked about, for our college student athletes going into senior year, what to expect and some of the things they should be thinking about going into that final year. Well, this week we're going to be looking at it from the high school student athletes perspective of summer college recruiting. We have a very special guest, one of my big blue brothers from Virginia State, Coach Damien Powell. He currently coaches at C.H. Flowers High School in Springdale, Maryland. Dr. Pitts will definitely give more of his bio and background in a few, but we're so glad to have him on the show, as well as some of his other staff as well listening in. So yeah, we're going to talk about summer college recruiting for high school athletes. What does that look like in today's day and age? Because it was completely different from when I was in high school, and I'm going to assume it was completely different when Coach Powell was in high school as well. So what should high school student athletes really be considering going into, their senior year, junior year, and so on and so forth when it comes to college recruiting, as far as summer camps, as far as recruiting visits, as far as, communicating with coaches and things like that, and what can they do to prepare for themselves? So we're going to cover all of that, as well as always, me and Dr. Pitts always have mental health tips of the week for you. And yeah, I'm super excited to get into this show. So real quick, Dr. Pitts, I want to share some news with you real quick, some HBCU news. So I don't know if people had heard the news over the week, but the Reese's Senior Bowl announced, I want to say it was on Monday or Tuesday, that starting in January, they're going to be hosting an annual HBCU combine for the top HBCU athletes across the country. This will be held in Mobile, Alabama. So they're sponsoring it. The NFL sponsoring it as well. So to all my HBCU student athletes out there who play football, this is your chance. This is your time to shine. This is a great opportunity coming forward, especially after we were listening to, Deion Sanders after the NFL draft talking about, the unfairness of HB student athletes not getting a fair chance of getting drafted and things like that. We had talked about, some of the disadvantages COVID had presented to HBCUs, where a lot of them didn't have football seasons in the fall, and even only a handful of them had a football season in the spring. And at that point, the NFL has already got their mind made up on who they're going to recruit and draft and things like that. So now that we're having a full off season for the most part, teams are getting ready to gear up for the fall. I think this is a great opportunity for these student athletes to really, really put their name out there and get this call to, the HBCU combine and really show out. Because like we've always said, it's not that there's a lack of talent at the HBCUs. We know that not to be true at all. There is plenty of talent at HBCU levels. And if you talk to some coaches, Deion Sanders being proof as well, some of the talent at these HBCUs has far better talent than a lot of these Division I schools. But we talked about, some of the disadvantages, whether it's the networking to the NFL, the coaches not having that networking opportunity with the NFL leagues and the NFL teams and things like that. So I'm super excited for this opportunity for our HBCU athletes to finally get a legit shot at showing themselves and proving that they can compete with these so-called, D1 superstars and things like that. I think this is going to be a special opportunity for them to really showcase their talent. So shout out to the Reese's Senior Bowl and the NFL for putting this together. I know they tried to last year, but COVID had hit. So, hopefully, barring no pandemics or world altering events, we can have this happen in January and these kids can really showcase their talent.
That's exciting news. That's really, really, really exciting news when take into consideration all these discussions that we've had about the imbalance that we
Mm-hmm.
see through across the sports between HBCUs and the D1, PWIs. I think it's a golden opportunity, and we've talked repeatedly on shows about scholar athletes really taking advantage of these opportunities. So you just put it out there. There's time to get ready. It's not until January. What do we say? Go hard or go home. Really,
Absolutely.
really, really take this time to prepare and shine and go in, me, guns blazing, gloves off, like, get in where you fit in and
Mm-hmm.
make it do what it do, so that you can really truly truly capitalize on this golden opportunity that is being presented, and you never know what other doors may open as a result of it. And I always say, choose to shine even when you don't think anybody's looking, right? Because you never know.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
never know who's looking. So take every opportunity to shine. That is just a tremendous, tremendous opportunity that's coming down the pike. And I wish all of our scholar athletes very, very, very good luck in that. We might not even plan to be there. We might have to coordinate that to see if we can be in Mobile, get our passports. Get our
Hey,
passports
I'm
ready.
in there. If we in there, I'm in there.
Get our passports
I might.
ready.
Hey, look, I told you I got a semester of eligibility left, so
You go
I
with that
might
kid.
I might just have to or put some WD-40 on these knees and just go out there and be like, look, I'm 28, I can snap the
Ah!
ball. I can do the bare minimum. I can snap the ball and hold my ground for 2 seconds. I got you. So hey, if you out there listening, NFL.
Okay. So look, as Ronnie said a minute ago, we believe that it's very important to make sure that you're getting pertinent information within the context of behavioral and mental health. As you all know by now, Ronnie and I are both mental health practitioners, and I'm elated that the respective leagues are taking this very, very seriously. But I had an interesting conversation with someone yesterday, and we were talking about the pressure that is on student athletes. Are y'all ready for this? As young as 5 years of age. And the person that I was talking to was sharing how, in their own experience as a scholar athlete when they were younger, and now that they're parenting children that are scholar athletes, the pressure that these children are being subjected to from the coaching staff for football, basketball, baseball, soccer, lacrosse, whatever. He said, Dr. Pitts, it's ridiculous. He said it is absolutely insane, the pressure that is being put on these kids. So we talked about that within the context of behavioral and mental health. And that's why Ronnie and I do the additional work that we do outside of our roles as mental health practitioners. That's why we offer the camps that we offer. That's why we offer the additional programs that we want to bring in to high schools, that we want to bring into HBCUs, because we recognize that oftentimes, and you hear us reference time after time after time, the Aaron Hernandez case, because by far that is one of the most severe ones that we've heard of in recent times. But we want to get in the habit of being proactive at addressing this so that it doesn't escalate to situations that result to the magnitude that the Aaron Hernandez case did. If we can get in and provide support for these families and provide support for these scholar athletes in their youth, because here's the other thing that came up in the conversation yesterday, and Ronnie and I, we've touched on this, and you went in on this, what I'm about to say. Parents that didn't measure up to the athletic performance that they wanted to, so they're living vicariously through their children. And
Mm-hmm.
as a result, in addition to the coaching staff and the pressure of the competition making these kids feel overwhelmed, now you have these parents that are living vicariously through their kids, that are putting all of this additional pressure on. And what's ending up happening is these kids are growing up and developing these psychiatric conditions and these psychological conditions where if they strike out at a game, or if they miss a tackle at a game, or if they miss a free throw, or if they miss a layup, they don't just see it as missing the mark athletically. They see it as being a failed human being.
Yep.
And that starts the cycle of this narrative. So I laid that foundation to say this: stop it. Stop doing that. These kids are kids. They're supposed to be enjoying it. What happened to having fun? What happened to the joy of youth? Everybody know I'm guns blazing. I am die hard competition, but not to the detriment of one's psyche, not to the detriment of someone ending up in me and Ronnie's office with a fractured psyche because they feel like a failure because they struck out, or they missed a tackle, or they missed a free throw, or they didn't win the track meet or the swim meet or whatever. That's not okay, folks. Mm-hmm. That is not okay. And then when you factor in that there's this stigma around mental health in Black and brown communities, that's exacerbating the problem. And we have to take responsibility and accountability for the damage that we are doing to these children by putting the pressure on them to the degree that some of these kids are being pressured. Stop calling your child names because they missed the tackle or struck out or whatever the case may be. Stop making them feel less than a human being because they didn't perform to your standards. I'm not suggesting for a moment that you want to encourage them to engage substandardly. You want them to be committed, but not to the degree that it fractures their psyche. There has to be a balance. And Absolutely. That's my challenge to you today. That's my call to action today. Learn some balance, learn some boundaries when it comes to being able to support your child efficaciously in their scholar athlete pursuits, so that you're not producing somebody who's doing a kick butt job on the field, the court, or the baseball diamond, or on the track and field, or in the pool, or whatever the sport is, but they crazy as a darn bedbug. That's not okay. That is not okay. And I'm putting the onus in the laps of the coaches, but first and foremost on the parents, because don't get it twisted up in here. As a parent,
I'm sorry.
You dictate how your coaches are handling your kid if you parent them properly. Because know that, you can call me whatever you want to call me, but Andre wasn't gonna be no, would you say everything but a child of God? We ain't doing that. His name is Andre Ryan Garlic. That's what I need you to call him. Now you can act like you want to cuss and carrying on at him, but if I ain't cussing and carrying on at him and I pushed him out, we ain't doing that. You're not gonna fracture my child's psyche just to get a win. We're not doing that, because that win over time becomes a loss. And there is no win that is worth having that the child's mind is compromised. That's all I got to say about that. Ronnie?
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of that, because if there's anything in sports that's the biggest pet peeve of mine, is parents living vicariously through their children. And I shared an example of one of our shows how I had a colleague of mine who he played college football. Unfortunately, he had hurt his neck and his career was over. And he had a son who, by all means, had the athletic size, the talent, whole 9 yards, had the ability, but his father basically controlled. He was like his agent at an early age. And if he didn't like how the coach was playing him, he was moving him to a different school. If he didn't like how the system was, he was moving him to a different school. And by the time this kid graduated high school, he had went to 5 different high schools in 4 years, just That's because crazy. His father didn't agree with the coaching philosophy. He didn't feel like the coaches were coaching his son good enough and things like that. And, as a result, this kid, I'm not going to say the kid kind of, ruined his chances of going Division I. He had a Division I scholarship to a D1 AA school. But unfortunately, he made a mistake on social media and got that scholarship taken away. In hindsight, one might say, this kid was acting out as rebellion to, kind of exude control over his own life, because for so long, his father had controlled everything he did as far as football and stuff like that. And, I'm glad we have Coach Powell on here today, because Coach Powell, I'm pretty sure you have seen this numerous times in your coaching career, where you have parents come out there and, they give off this impression of, they have a vested interest in their child's well-being and things like that. And, I think one of the biggest things that parents have a hard time with is, look, not everybody is made to go D1. And I think, when we think about football, whether it's football, basketball, or any of these major sports, we always think, well, our child has to go D1 to have a legit shot at going to the professional league, especially in Black and brown communities where, we've talked on this show numerous times how if you live in an underserved area or an impoverished area, that child is looked at, as the family savior. They're looked at as the Jesus Christ of their family, because these adults identify that this kid has a talent that maybe other kids don't have. So they exploit this child for years and years and years, and they feel in their head like, look, you're going to be the one to get us out of this. You're going to be one to get us out of the hood. You're going to be the one where we actually have jobs and cars and houses where they don't leak, or we got roaches and bugs inside of them. It's going to be on you. And that enormous amount of pressure to put on this kid, in a sense, you kind of parentify the child to be the provider. Yeah. And when that doesn't happen, now the kid is looked as a failure, or they weren't good enough. And in hindsight, well, hell, the parent, like all these grown adults, and y'all are putting all y'all eggs into this child's basket of, well, this child has to be the one to save us because you couldn't do it yourself. And, and I also think that because football has become more of a business as opposed to a sport, at the NFL, football is I want to say a $4 or $5 billion, annual revenue a year. So is college football. We've talked about numerous times how the Division I level, like Alabama, for example, in 2018, they had a revenue of $180 million just off of 8 home games. $180 million revenue off of 8 home games. And you're going to sit here and tell me this is not a business. And these people see this. And, we're going to get also into the, the recruiting aspects of it as well, of, the pressure of being recruited by these big schools at an early age. And if you're not by a certain age, it's kind of like those chances dwindle away because they're looking for the cream of the crop. And, when your parents are sitting there filling your head of, oh, well, you're going to go Division I, you're going to go to the NFL or NBA, and then that doesn't happen, and then the parent doesn't have any recourse or any actions to help that child process that, these kids, you see depression, you see, suicide ideations and things like that, because these kids have developed a sports performance-based identity at an early age. And so the only way they feel they can get validation from their parents or anybody else is they have to succeed at this sport no matter what. And that's a large ultimatum to have for a child before they even 18 is, if I don't succeed at this by the time I'm 18, my whole life is a failure. Right. And, and Coach Powell, I know you said this numerous times to your student athletes. Look, football don't last forever. Football is a young man's game. You're not going there's no senior leagues of, full gear football. They have flag football and stuff like that. But we know for a fact that you only play football at a very early age. And after that, there's a select few who are blessed and fortunate enough to be able to play into their mid-30s and things like that. But that is far and few between. So like Dr. Pitt said, please, parents, stop living vicariously through your children. Just because you couldn't do it does not mean you have to sit there and base your entire child's life off this identity of, well, they got to be the football star. They got to be the basketball star, because if they're not, well, what the hell is the point of having children at this stage in game? Because if it's almost like they turn the child into a lottery ticket. You go to play Mega Millions or Powerball, you get a 1 in 200 million chance of winning. Well, hell, you have a 1 in quarter million chance of your child going to the NFL as a high school senior athlete. So, we have to stop doing this. Football is supposed to be fun. When you get to college and professional leagues, there is money involved. And so things are different. That's just the nature of the beast. But in high school, little league, and things like that, let the kids have fun. Not everybody, and Coach Powell can agree with this, not everybody plays football to play football. We have a lot of players on the football team who are jersey players. They just want to have the jerseys. They just want to sit there and say, oh, well, I was on the football team. Well, did you play? I was on the football team, And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Everybody contributes to the team in one way or another. But parents, please stop thinking your child is going to go to the NFL just because they put on a helmet and some shoulder pads and they score a touchdown in Little League. That does not mean that. Let that child have fun. And another thing, please, parents, not only stop living vicariously through your children, please stop making them one sport focused at an early age. Damn, let the kid play football, basketball, soccer,
all of them.
Kickball, whatever it is. Like if there's a ball involved, let the kid play that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so we really have to change this narrative on, as much as we love sports and admire sports in this country, sports are not the end all be all.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that. When these kids get older, they develop this identity of, well, and I've shared my personal story, on the show a lot of, for me, by the time I was 18, I was all in, I was invested, football was everything about me. That was my identity. It was football. And when I lost that identity, I suffered greatly from it. I went through a deep depression. I didn't know who I was. I questioned everything. I questioned my self-worth and my value of being on this earth because I simply couldn't snap a football to a quarterback and block for him for 4 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So while football has many benefits for you, not only, athletic wise and career wise, it's not the end all be all. So please, as parents, stop living vicariously through your children. We have to stop this. I'm done with my
rant. Ronnie, he went all the way back to midget coach. So look,
he went in.
I am so excited. We are so excited because we have with us today Coach Damien Powell, aka Omar Epps' twin. I was trying to figure out, what does he look like? He looked like Omar Epps. That's what he looked like. He looked like Omar Epps. So Coach Damien Powell has been coaching football for 20 years. He's a proud husband and father of 3. He started out his football career playing at Sherwood High School. And during his time at Sherwood, he won 2 state championships and received a scholarship to where? Virginia State University.
That's right.
Yes, he was a 4-year starter during his collegiate career. He took all that he learned at Sherwood and Virginia State and implemented it into his teaching and coaching career. In 2007, Coach Powell was named the head football coach at, I'm going to say it the way they say it in Jacksonville, Florida, at Duval High School, and took the program from the bottom and made it a powerhouse in the state of Maryland. In 2016, he took over a 2-8 program at Charles Herbert Flowers High School in Springdale, Maryland. And since taking over and with the help of his coaching staff, he has had undefeated regular seasons and made it to the playoffs each year. You just go. During his head coaching career, he sent over 150 students. Wow, coach. He has sent over 150 student athletes to college with scholarship opportunities. All hail the coach. He has ensured that the football program not only provides good coaching and teaching, but also reinforces education. Oh, I love it. Holistic. Reinforces education, family, respect, teamwork, hard work, and leadership. He gives back to the surrounding community by coaching high school and little league wrestling and instilling the same values in them. Coach Powell, it is our honor. Welcome to House Talk Pregame.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
Man, we really appreciate you taking the time to join us today, man. And I already know, your pedigree coming from Virginia State, being Big Blue. I already know that, being a head coach for you, giving back to the community and giving back to these kids, to get a chance to play college football. I always tell people, if you get a chance to play college football, you're part of an elite few, no matter what level it is.
Absolutely.
D1, D2, D3, NAIA, whatever the case may be. If you play college football, that is an honor and a privilege to be able to play at that level. So once again, thank you for being able to take the time to join us today. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. And thank you all for having me. This is excellent. You guys are on point with a lot of what you're saying and talking about. Your talking points is excellent. And I'm ready to get going.
All right. So let's dive right in. So, tell us, Coach Powell, real quick before we start to get into, your coaching career. Tell us a little bit about your playing career. You played football, went on to Virginia State, was a 4-year starter. So talk to us about how it was playing football back when you were playing.
Oh man, actually, I played little league coming up, but I didn't play 9th and 10th grade year. So my story is kind of unique, and this is why I'm coaching, man, because I started out in Prince George's schools and county schools, but I had a rough time dealing with neighborhood or on the corner, trying to lead in the wrong way, you know what I mean? And so I didn't have really great grades. My parents are educators; they've been counselors to administrators, principals to assistant superintendents. So they are really tight in this education field, right? So going into Bowie High School, which is in Prince George, I've gotten some fights, some suspended, expulsion requests, and not doing things the right way. You know what I'm saying? So my mom was actually at the time was the counselor at Sherwood High School in Montgomery County. She said, "No, I ain't. This is it. I ain't had enough. I had enough." Took my butt out of there in Bowie and went to school with her at Sherwood High School. And man, was that a blessing, because I had opportunity now, which was my passion was to play football. And I had a great coach, Bob Malloy, who was a coach over 40 years, state championship, Hall of Fame coach, and we just had an excellent high school career. And just the thing about what I learned about being in the high school career and just working hard, because I was actually the captain and all that stuff, which was great. But our coach, he molded, and you learn a lot, football, X's and O's and everything. And I love him for that. But the recruiting aspect wasn't the thing that they kind of, did for everybody, right? So so I had to kind of go and venture out on my own and find different schools that I was interested in. I got into Morehouse. I got into Virginia State. I got into a bunch of HBCUs that I really liked. And Virginia State, actually, I went down there, talked to the coach, and the coach saw my film and everything, saw my height and everything. He was like, he offered me some money. So that was a great opportunity. And then just playing at Virginia State, man, first of all, Virginia State University was like beautiful. Like that was the best campus, the best atmosphere I ever been at. I was like, this is college, like everything. I mean, I first came in as freshman, my eyes are wide. Of course the women was beautiful, and it was just like, but the campus, the teachers, the faculty, everything, it just felt right, And coming in, I was a 6'3", 170 dripping wet pounds playing linebacker. Okay, all right. So Ronnie, going into Virginia State, trying to make a team with over 120, 25 people, even though I got a little bit of money. It wasn't much, but I got a little bit of money.
Yeah.
You had to earn your state. You had to earn every bit of it. And playing linebacker at 6'3", 170, I was on the, put it like this, my number the first year was 63. Okay. All right. But just coming, that's why DMV, I love DMV so much, man. We just got a different, it's just a different vibe. I worked my butt off to actually my first year wearing number 63, but I started Nickelback and towards the end of the year and did some excellent things. And then it kind of just went on from there. I mean, football, Lou Anderson was the head coach then at Virginia State, but met some great people. The bond you meet with your football family, and Virginia State was just excellent.
So, one of the things and one of the reasons we started this show was, like I shared earlier, being so hyper focused on playing football and, putting all my eggs in the football. Like I said, I had career aspirations for after I finished playing football. And that was one of the things I credited my parents to is, always thinking about the future ahead. My dad used to always call it the 5-year plan. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And at the end of that 5 years, where do you see yourself another 5 years from then? So for me, I always knew what I wanted to do career-wise. However, like I said, one of the biggest things I struggled with was my identity was wrapped around football. So, after my final season of playing at Virginia State, I thought I would be okay. I got into coaching, thought it would be cool. But then I started to realize like how much I miss football and how much football was integrated into my life. Football was my coping skill when I was pissed off and angry at people. You know, if I had family issues going on or relationship issues, girls pissing me off or whatever, I could go out on the football field and just knock heads off for 2 and 3 hours and be fine. You know, all that anger that I had pent up during the day from 3:30 to 6:30 on that practice field, I could just get all of that out of me and be good to go. And so when I didn't have that, you know, I struggled for a couple of years after playing football, and that transition from being a student athlete to just a regular person was extremely hard for me. So talk to us about for you and your process of no longer being a student athlete in college, going into the real world for the first time. How was that transition? Was it a struggle? Was it seamless? Because not everybody's the same. Some people can seamlessly transition into adulthood and be good to go. I was not one of those people. It took me a couple of years to really get into the swing of it. So how was that for you?
Yeah, man, that's a great question because I was just like a lot of our young kids today. What do you want to do after you go to college and stuff? Oh, I want to go to NFL. I want to play on the pro level. That's what I want to do. I didn't think about the next step. I didn't. That's all I thought about, right? So the great thing about it, you know, and I had a strong background, a strong foundation with my parents. So the one thing I could turn back to was education and giving back to the community and the family. So right after college, and I did stay an extra year for 5 years. I did stay an extra year because Virginia State was so great. But I decided to give back and go back, and just like you said, and coach and give back because that's what I know. That was my passion. That's what I love to do. So I was a health physical education teacher right after graduation from Virginia State and moved right into being a teacher at middle school in Prince George's County Public Schools and coaching. So I was actually coached at Duval. I walked over, got home, picked up my bags, walked over to Duval, didn't know anybody there. I just walked into the school. Let me speak to the head coach because I knew this is what I want to do, and I knew I had something to offer. I knew, you know, that I can reach these young men and take them to another level. So that was something that I did for me, and so it turned out well. You know, I met some great people at the coaching staff, and I learned a lot. Learn what to do, what not to do, you know, and those type of things. So yeah, man. So that's what I like to preach to these young men today. Like you said, what's your 5-year plan? What are you going to do? What's your next step? Use this football vehicle to get your education, to get your degrees, to, you know what I'm saying, to move to the next level. Don't don't have a clear path from football, you know what I mean? Which it will take you there. If you're good, you'll get there. People are going to see you. But at the same time, you need to get this paper.
Absolutely. So fast forward to, you know, 2020, you know, you at Flowers High School, season's been going good. You've had a couple undefeated seasons, made it to the playoffs every year you've been a coach at Flowers. And then 2020 happens, the pandemic hits. So as a head coach, talk to us about how it's been navigating through the pandemic, because you know, if I was a high school player during this time and, you know, my season was canceled, or if I was told, you know, down here in Virginia, they moved the season to the springtime, but it was a condensed season. There was only a 6-game season. And that was if you were able to play all 6 games. And then we had, you know, regular playoff format. So how has it been navigating through the pandemic with, you know, the uncertainty of, you know, maybe not having a fall season and even a spring season? And, you know, for those players who were juniors or seniors going into 2020, how has it been navigating that as a head coach?
It's been rough. It's been really hard, you know, really hard reaching these young men, you know, because football is what they did. Like you just said, it was something where it don't matter what's going in your household or outside, but when you come to that football field, everything was just wiped out because you was on the football field. Well, you know, that was gone. You know what I mean? So now it's just reaching the young men virtually. It was very, very hard. Them getting recruited, them losing a season, you know, I really feel bad for our seniors today. They didn't have a season because we didn't have spring ball, so they lost the whole year. Man. You know what I mean? So what I had to do was get to the leadership team at the school, get to my coaching staff. Our coach staff did an excellent job, and everybody put their hands in and start reaching to the young man. And we had over 26 seniors this year who never didn't play, but we had 18 student athletes that had scholarships to the next level. So those are the type of things you got to go above and beyond. And that's the problem, what I started to see in this high school. And like you said, with the young coaches and everything, it's all about winning football games. You know, it's all about winning or who's going to be your next star. But what about reaching and going above and beyond for these young men and for the people who needs a little bit more attention, that needs a little bit more assistance and direction and mentorship? You know, that's the love. That's where it comes from, right? So
the humanity in it.
Right. So but the COVID, the pandemic, man, it's been hard for all of us. It's very hard seeing these young men not having a prom, not having you know, graduation, which the seniors this year will actually have a graduation, but just not having a football season at all, man, it hurts. And you can see it and it's hard, you know, Ronnie, like trying to get them young men to get out the bed every day and work out and have that mindset to have a scheduled workout every day just to keep themselves going and nobody there to push them. So it's been rough to all of us.
Absolutely. And you made a great point. And you know, I'm actually very familiar with the Southern Maryland area, you know, Prince George's County and things like that. I actually had a cousin who went to Eleanor Roosevelt, actually lived right across the street from Eleanor Roosevelt. So I'm very familiar with that area. Used to go to PG County Mall. Hey, look, PG County Mall, you might have to keep your head on a swivel, but you know, I used to love going there. So, you know, I understand the area and the dynamic and the culture of that area where, you know, like we said, you know, a lot of our Black and brown student athletes, football, basketball, whatever the case may be, especially in that area, is everything. That means everything to them. And oftentimes, a lot of these children come from broken homes, broken families, and things like that. And one of the things that the pandemic exacerbated was, you know, at least for 6 hours a day, those kids could go to school, get out of their house, get out of their neighborhood, and be in somewhat of a safe location, to say the least.
And get a meal.
Get a meal, be able to be around other people who are not necessarily a negative influence on their life all the time. And the pandemic kind of erased that. And so, you know, to your point, getting those kids to remain motivated through that and being able to log, and I'm pretty sure for you as a coach, probably one of the most nerve-wracking things has been making sure your players stay eligible for the upcoming season. So how has that been, trying to keep them motivated for school? Because, you know, for me last year, I was finishing up my master's and I was going in person and we switched over to virtual. And for me, I'm not a virtual kid. I want to be in person. I want to be able to ask the teacher questions and things like that and actually have a vested interest. But if I'm at home sitting on my couch, and especially if I live in an area where, you know, it's already dangerous as it is, you know, if I walk outside, you know, no telling what's going to happen. Or if I come from an abusive home where, you know, my mom is always belittling me and she's got a step parent or a boyfriend, or I'm living with dad and he's always just physically abusive and I have nowhere to go. Why the hell should I log into school if, you know, one, I don't know how they did it in Maryland, but down here in Virginia, the back half of last year, there were no grades. Everybody got passed. Everybody went on to the next level. And, you know, kids who live in low income areas down here, we always talk about the school to prison pipeline. And, you know, that was kind of exacerbated last year because a lot of these kids were just moved on to the next grade without having any type of fundamental education from that previous grade. And now we start to see, you know, the results of that is these kids are more frustrated. They have a lot, you know, less confidence in themselves because they just simply can't read or understand stuff. And for a student athlete, you know, the one thing coaches always say, and you know this as well, when you get recruited, before a coach even asks you your name or asks for your highlight tape, the first thing they say is, well, what's your GPA?
That's right.
And let it be anything less than a 3.0. Well, everything you say after that is going in one ear and out the other. So for you, how has it been to keep motivating your student athletes to stay engaged in school, stay participating, and to keep their grades up despite the hardships that they might have faced?
Thank you, man, Ronnie. But it's been a hassle. But you have to, we as a coaching staff, as the leadership at our school, we had to dig a little deeper. And that's just the bottom line, because you've seen everything. It didn't matter. You could have great parents and your child is not doing well because that's just something they're not in. They like one-on-one instruction. you know. So, you know, or you could just have, you don't have anybody at the house, and the young man is in the bed and trying to do work under the covers, and the camera's off, and you don't know what's going on with him. So it's been a real struggle. So we, as a coaching staff, as a leadership team, we had to dig deeper. What can we do to try to get, can we bring somebody in to talk to our kids? Did that, you know? Can we, can we reach out and speak to the parents and say, okay, what can we do to help? Did that, right? So what we had to do, especially now, since we're kind of matriculating back into the school, now get your butt out the bed, come and meet me at the school, sit in this computer lab and do some work. And then I had to, you know, we had to sit down. I have all my coaches, position coaches, is contact them, checking on them. We check in every Tuesday and Thursday. Those are the type of things going above and beyond that you don't really see for much of the coaches, but the coaches that understand people like you got to dig deeper. You got to, you just can't say, oh, well, that's it. No, because you don't, that means, you know, you don't really care. You know what I mean? You're not pushing. You know, what are you here for? You know what I mean?
Become complacent.
So, you become complacent. There you go. And so that's all we tried to do. It was a very hard task, and it still is, because we're still in a pandemic. So we still have students that, you know, fourth quarter, they asking for you got to have a 2.0. Some of my best students, we managed a 3.3 GPA, team GPA through the pandemic, which was good. All right. But it's still some of the young men that you expect to have those grades that just can't get with this, you know. And so no matter what we're trying or doing, it's still hard for them. So that, man, I'm just hoping that we can find a way to reach some of them guys that we did not reach, and get them back on track. But that's an excellent question, Ronnie. And it's a rough process.
Hey, Coach, is it possible? And forgive me, I don't live in a fantasy world, but I do process a lot of things through movies, just because as a clinician, never look at TV, movies, or people the same ever again. Right. And what came to mind when you were talking is the movie Coach Carter, and how there was that window of time in that movie where there were teachers that actually volunteered to come in and tutor the team all together. There were set times. It's like in that case, it was basketball, but the entire team was in the gym, and the teachers took turns coming in to actually work with the entire team to help them to stay on track where they needed to be academically. I'm wondering if that's an option, if even though it might be a stretch, but everything that you described is symbolic of going the extra mile. Right. If I know that it can't be a requirement, but if the team participating in summer school is an option, where there are, because the reality of it is, some folk are all about the money, but there are people that actually love sports and want to see these kids succeed, that may be willing to volunteer 2 or 3 hours of their time or 4 hours of their time, Monday through Thursday, for the summer, to come in and work with the entire team to tutor them in person, to help all of them get back up to speed academically. I'm just wanted to throw that out there as a possibility that might be worth exploring.
Thank you, Doc, because that's something we kind of do back and forth as well. And we actually did have some teachers actually that stood up and said they would make that challenge for us. So they will sacrifice some of their time during the summer to do that. So that's excellent. So it at the same time, with the county and the restrictions of the COVID restrictions, it's still a pandemic going on. So sometimes that right now, having a lot of students into the building at one time is not something we can really do right now. But it's something that we do around, and it's definitely a possibility.
So moving into the recruiting aspect of being a head coach, and I'm pretty sure this might be maybe not one of your most favorite things to talk about as far as recruiting, because like we said, you have a lot of parents who like to live vicariously through their children or whatever, and like I said, recruiting has become a dog eat dog world. And, you know, now we're starting to see these kids. I don't know if you saw it a couple of days ago, but this kid, 6'5", 250 pounds, going into freshman year down in Georgia.
Ooh.
I mean, looks chiseled, look like he belongs on a Division I team. Hasn't even played a snap of high school football yet and has 3 full ride offers, including one from being USC. So, you know, recruiting has changed over the course of, you know, the last 10, 20 years. Even from when I was in high school, we still had to send off DVDs. Like YouTube was just becoming a thing, but coaches weren't trying to click on a YouTube link to watch a highlight tape. They still wanted a hard copy, you know, DVD and CD to see what you were talking about. But recruiting has changed so much now where we have Huddle, we have, I want to say it's 24/7 Sports, YouTube, Instagram, all these things where now kids really don't have any excuse of not being seen by college coaches. Mm-hmm. However, once again, we also know that because necessarily parents might not, you know, be realistic with their children when it comes to their dreams. Because, you know, parents don't want to crush their kids' dreams. But let's be real, you know, as a football coach, as much as you love a kid's effort and heart into football, at the end of the day, speed, size, and talent win football games. You know, right. You could be a kid who's 5'2" and say, well, coach, I want to play quarterback. Well, that's very admirable of you, but you're going to sit on this bench. And that's just what it is. You know, so how has that been over the course of the last 10, 15 years of you being a coach and a head coach of navigating the recruiting scene for these student athletes? What are the changes you've seen as far as, like, you know, being able to read coaches and things like that, and also being real with your student athletes? And I think that's one of the biggest things coaches aren't, is real with their student athletes as far as like, hey, look, I'm not going to crush your dreams, but let's be real here. Like, for me, for example, and I'll share this with everybody. So when I was in high school, I played guard and tackle in high school all 4 years. And I was 6'1". I was 6'1", 290 all 4 years in high school. So I had, you know, I'm, you know, thinking I got the height and size. And like I told you earlier, I used to go to University of Maryland's football camp every single summer because they were the only, you know, football camp on the East Coast where you could actually put on helmet and shoulder pads and actually go out there and really hit folks during one-on-ones. And, you know, I made a name that way going to that camp. And that was when Coach Friedgen was there. And I'll never forget it. Going into my senior year, they had invited me on 2 junior day trips my junior season. They had loved me, loved my tape, loved my energy and all that. You know how coaches like to hype you up, like, well, you got good, you know, you got good energy, you got a good motor, you finished through the play and all that. All these things you want to hear. What I really want to hear is, where's that scholarship?
That's right.
And one of the most humbling moments of my entire playing career was their recruiting coordinator. I can't think of his name, but the recruiting coordinator basically sat me down and told me to my face, son, we love you. We would love you. Exemplify everything about being a Maryland Terrapin. We love you to death, but you 6'1". If you were 6'3", we would have thrown the scholarship at you yesterday. And for me, that was an extremely tough pill to swallow because for me, I was all in on Maryland. You know, I had went there. The coaches were talking to me. They were bringing me on recruiting trips and stuff like that, showing me to the other recruits and things like that. And then just to be told, like, well, we thought you were going to grow. You know, you were 6'1" as a freshman. We were like, oh, well, yeah, this kid's going to grow. So how has it been navigating recruiting over the years as a head coach and really helping your players understand the reality of, like, you know, there's 2 things you can't coach in football, is size and speed. You can't coach those. So how has that been navigating recruiting for your high school student athletes?
Man, you said it. It's keeping it real, right? It's being real with your student athletes. And that's something that us as the coaching staff, we do. We keep it real with the players, man. It's a business, right? So the first thing is basically with, especially dealing with Division I, is the eye candy, the eye, you know, do you pass the eye test? All right. Mm-hmm. So are you 6? You said 6'1", but you know, you dealing with linemen, you got to be 6'3", 6'4", or above. You know, you gotta weigh a certain amount. You got to run a certain speed if you're smaller, right? So we have to keep it real with these young men to let them know, hey, this is where, and I've been doing this for 20 years, and I tell them, you know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying I'm the end all be all, but I do know what I'm talking about, okay? So we put them in that starting in 9th grade, okay? From whenever we get to put our hands on them, and we keep it real with them throughout the whole process. See, and the parents, because the parents has to be involved. Because like you said, there's some parents that just don't understand, and it's okay that if they don't like what we say, but hopefully they get some type of message for what we're telling them, so that they won't keep all their eggs in one basket. So keeping it real is definitely the biggest part of it. I got a coach. He's actually a coach, and he's a father. He has a son on the team. So what he does is if his hat is on straight, that means he's a father, right? Or he's a coach. But if he turns it backwards, that means he's a daddy, right? So he, every time we're talking, I said, man, put your daddy hat on, or put your coach hat on. You know what I'm saying? Because I need to tell, we got to tell you real what it is. And so but you know what, the kids, the parents, they appreciate that. They appreciate that. And as long as you're keeping it real with them, letting them understand this business, okay? Because it is a business and it's cutthroat. And those colleges coaches, they have a livelihood. They have to go back to their families, Yeah. So that's the biggest part. That's the biggest part of it. Yeah, you're good, and we're going to entertain you, right? But I may find somebody better tomorrow. And if I find somebody better, then I'm sorry, son. We're going to take the better one because I got to feed my family, right? So then that's the biggest part of it, and the guy's starting to understand. And the other part is grades. So I have a chart up. It's like a percentage of schools that can recruit you, right? Based on your GPA. Okay. So if you have a 4.0, you got about 94% of schools that's going to, majority of all the schools you're going to be eligible to go to, and they're going to look through if you have the on film, the grades, and the character, right? Mm-hmm. So 3.5, 72%, 3.0, 51%, 2.5, 21%, and 2.0, 8%. And it's funny how many 2.0 students want to play D1, and you only have 8% chance of getting even looked at.
And to your point, and it's crazy. I always tell kids, and that's why I always start at 3.0 for student athletes, because if they don't hear it, they hear 2, unless you are Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Warren Sapp, Bobby Wagner, Julio Jones. Unless you, when you just walk out on the field, you just stand out. You are an absolute stud. They ain't touching you.
They ain't touching you
because most of these schools, and people are shocked because and let's be real, we know a lot of student athletes. I know a lot of student athletes from the Metro Richmond area, and I'm pretty sure a lot of student athletes, especially from the Prince George's area, where they were just absolute studs, and they might not have necessarily had the grades, but because their talent was so immense, people look the other way. And when it in very, very select few, and I think this is one of the stigmas that I hope is being dispelled by coaches like you and everybody else is, well, when you get to college, people are gonna do your work for you. No, and this too, because I heard this going to college, like, well, you can get people to do your homework for you. You ain't got to worry about going to class. Hell, at Virginia State, don't show up to class if you don't want to.
Right.
Don't show up to class if you don't want to. If any amount of scholarship you had is gone like that. And a lot of these players don't understand that you can have all the talent in the world, but if you do, as student athlete, there's a reason student comes first.
That's right.
It's because you are a student first. Yeah, your athletic ability has drawn these coaches to you, but it's what you do in the classroom is what's going to bring you to that campus. And I think a lot of kids get that mixed up. Well, I got a 2.5. I at least got a couple A's and B's. No, because now already you're starting at a disadvantage to their mind, because college work is not easy. Don't get me wrong. Is college doable? Absolutely. Is it Einstein work all the time? No, especially depending on your major. If you're gonna go to school and be a mass communication major or a criminal justice major or one of these degrees that most everybody goes into, it's not necessarily that the work is hard, but as a coach, it's like, I can't take this. You're already coming into on my team as a liability, because now I have to pay more focus on you, not only as an athlete, but as a student. And if I give you this scholarship and it's $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 scholarship, and you don't show up to class, well, now I look like a butthead to the school, and they're wondering why I wasted this money on you. And now they're looking at me like, well, do you really value your job? Yeah. So I think that chart is amazing, because like I always tell student athletes, if you do not, at the bare minimum, get a 3.0, bare minimum. 3.0 is a B average.
And one of the things we talk to these young men about, hey, it's not just who's around here in the PG County or Maryland. It's this whole United States and this world. So you have a 2.5 or a 2.3, and you're going to get, and you have a great talent, but there's also 15 or 20 other people that has a 3.5 with the same talent. Now, which one as a college coach going to pick, you or him? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So that's the part we, the keeping the real part that we're all about. You know what I mean? So they get it. They'll get it. It's hard to swallow. It's a hard pill to swallow, though.
It is, and that's and I'm glad you said that, because once again, and especially the parents who might not have played sports when they were growing up, and now their child has a vested interest in sports and whatnot. So the parents are even coming in at a disadvantage of like, well, so what should I do for my kids? Should I send them to this education program or whatever to get their grades up? You get, at the bare minimum, you get a C for signing your name on the paper. So, right. There you get a C on the paper. All you got to do is just try.
Right.
All we're asking for is effort as coaches, is just to try. Ronnie, another thing I want to talk to you about, Ronnie, hold on. I'm sorry.
2 seconds. No, you're fine. 2 seconds. I wanted to chime in on that educational piece, because what comes to mind, and we've talked about this before, is the disproportionate numbers of Black and brown students, particularly male students of color, that are diagnosed with ADHD. And one of the things that I think it's important for our audience to be aware of is that when you talk about tutoring, when you talk about putting the focus on the educational piece, because it's student athlete, right?
Right.
That there are reasonable accommodations that the school district by law has to provide to support the learning trajectory of the student, but that also are available within the community as well. So my challenge to parents is to be aware that because the student part comes first, that you're going to want to make it your business to not only educate yourself about the additional supportive resources that are available for your child, if in the event they have some academic special needs, but there are resources that the school by law has to provide if your child has special needs academically. But then you also want to familiarize yourself with additional supports that may be readily available to you from a community basis, so that you are academically setting your child up to succeed. But so oftentimes, as we know, and we often discuss, the emphasis is on athletic, because people do buy into that fallacy, if you will, that, oh, well, all I got to do is, the athletic ability is going to get them to college, and then folk are going to turn the other way and somebody's going to do their work for them. Well, why would you convey that message to your child? But the reality of it is we know that there are people that do that, and it's not okay. You're not setting your child up to be successful academically, or truth be told, athletically, if you don't express the value of the educational component in the student athlete experience. So I just wanted to add that in. Go ahead, Ron.
Very important piece. Thank you, Dr. Pitts. So Coach, I'm gonna try and not rapid fire, but I'm gonna definitely try and get through all these questions, because we got about 28 minutes left. So real quick, and I think this is probably especially important for especially our student athletes nowadays, is the impact of social media. It's one thing as a coach where you already had to worry about your kids, what they do at school, how they treat, how they are at home, and just, when they go out, with their friends in general. But now you throw in social media where, and I think one of the damages of social media is turn everything into a competition for these kids. And, not everybody wants to be like this person or the cool kid and things like that. So as a coach, how has it been navigating, how's it been navigating social media for your student athletes where, they're not putting malicious information out there. They're not, cyberbullying. They're not, showing themselves in unfavorable positions and things like that, or being around, whether it's drugs, weapons, things like that. How has that been navigating social media as a head coach?
Yeah. Lately for us, it's been pretty good, because we actually attacked the social media piece as far as the team and parents. So we have like a little PD or a talk session about social media and how it can affect you and how it can affect your student athlete. Because a lot of our students, or you see a lot of kids, they have guns or sex images or all these curse words, and that's part of your character, part of being recruiting. That's the first thing when the college coaches are looking for, they're looking to see what type of dude I'm about to recruit. You know what I mean? So if you're having all this stuff on your social media that is not, that doesn't show what type of character and person you are, and it's showing a negative impact on you, they're not going to recruit you. So that's some of the things that as far as the knowledge getting out to the parents. But the other thing is just, it's real, because a lot of students, they want to just put, I'm blessed to get a offer. They want to put that out there, and that's another issue that we deal with, is this about, oh, I got an offer, let me put that out so everybody can see, and it gets kind of crazy. So everybody's trying to find a way to get an offer just to put that stuff out on social media. Bless, all that good stuff, right? So and really, honestly, when it comes down to it, Dr. Pitts and Ronnie, is finding the in the next phase of your life in college, finding the college that best fits you, that's going to make you most successful in life. What's going to best fit you. Virginia State was the best fit for me. I love HBCU, right? But some of these our young men are their minds, they just feel like they got to go Division I. They got to go to Vanderbilt. They got to go to Wake Forest. They got to go this place, and they don't understand everything it takes to go through it. So the social media thing, it has been big, but we have attacked that in a way where we can, instruct and make our parents and student athletes more knowledgeable on how to proceed in that.
Can I chime in again? I'm sorry. So again, as I hear you talking, Coach, it goes back to what Ronnie and I say every single solitary week. You have so many people out here that, they have these rose-colored glasses on about their kid going to the league, and they're making these decisions based on wrong and limited information. And I just feel like there has to be a parental or a caregiver educational experience, because particularly, for example, when you think about these kids that are coming from these impoverished backgrounds, there's dollar signs dancing in folks' head. And as Ronnie said, they're putting all this pressure on the kid to be the savior of the family. To get everybody out of the hood, when in actuality, there's only a 2% chance that the kid is going to go to the league. But I just feel, and what we know to be true, what's the Bible say? My people perish for lack of knowledge. Well, even if you're not a religious or a spiritual person, common sense, even though it's not common to everybody, common sense would tell you that what you don't know can hurt you. And I feel like so oftentimes, particularly when it comes to our kids, and then, oh, by the way, you factor in the percentage of our kids that are being raised by single mothers. And certainly I'm not suggesting that all single mothers are ignorant when it comes to athletic, processes. But the reality of it is that there are some who just don't know. They don't understand the process. And I feel like there's so much opportunity for parents to be educated realistically about what this looks like, and to begin having those conversations in 8th grade. It's to put these systems and measures in place where we, whether it's a workshop or a forum or whatever the case may be, parents, what you need to know about your child's athletic career in high school and beyond, or whatever the case may be. I think that has to happen. I think that it absolutely positively has to happen in order to be proactive in combating some of these decisions being made, because we know kids are products of their environment. Well, my mama said that I have to go to Wake Forest. We ain't going to no HBCU. Some of that, I don't even know what a HBCU is. What that stand for anyway. Come on. Y'all know I do my Shaniqua Brown. So it's Shaniqua Alizé Rum and Coke Brown. So, but seriously though, the reality of it is that there are decisions that are being made, or suggestions that are being proposed that are being made based on wrong and or limited information. And I think for those of us that are passionate about sports and equally passionate about education, there's this golden opportunity for us to take the initiative to put systems and measures in place to start educating these parents on a level that perhaps they have not been educated before, where their children's athletic careers are concerned. Go ahead,
Great
Ryan.
point.
All right.
Totally agree.
Absolutely.
Totally agree.
So, Coach Powell, and I'm a victim of this. I'm definitely guilty of this because the 2 years I did coach, I definitely used to say this to the players that the kids have gotten a lot softer nowadays. And I say that because and you know this very well. I come from an era, I was at the very tail end of when we still did bull in the ring, we did Oklahoma drills. The word concussion that didn't exist in our vocabulary when we played football. It was
All right,
either got
Mr.
your
30
bell
plus
rung
concussions.
or you were soft. So as a coach nowadays, how has that been where, not only has recruiting changed the football landscape, but just player safety and player awareness of, not playing through the concussion and, not being, categorized as soft because you take a step back. How has that been, seeing some of the rules and protocols change over the course of the last 10, 20 years?
Yeah, it's been tough. I come from the same era, bite down on that mouthpiece, play every down. I don't care, if you're a little blurry, visual, get a drink of water, get your butt back out there, So I came from that era. But so a couple points that we like to do here at Flowers, and it's very, one thing we do, we talk about mental health. We talk about how our young student athletes, how they feel. We will tear you down, but we will bring you back up, right? So for every time you have a problem or you're yelling or whatever, you find a way sometime that day or that practice to say something positive and bring that young man back up. So that's one of the things that we love to do, and it really helps with this new era of kids. They understand, once they understand and you start building a rapport and relationships with your student athletes, and they understand that you love them and that you want to see them, that you have, their best interest in heart. They're going to go and run through a brick door for you. Okay, they're going to run for you, whether you feel that they're soft or not. I don't care. As long as you give me maximum effort and everything, they're going to run through a brick wall for you. And that all is about building a rapport, a relationship with them young men, and letting them know, hey, or even if they make a mistake, you're not just taking them out the game or taking them out practice and yelling out. Nah, you say what you got to say, but you better bring them back up. And you better give them another chance. And that's type of things that we like to do here. Yeah. So it's not the same as far as back in the day, Ronnie. But hey, if you do it the right way, they will run through a brick wall for you. And we're going to find a way to each athlete, whether you're the first one or the last one on that roster, to get every single thing out of you. And that's what we are. That's what we're about.
And you made a great point, which kind of leads me into my next question. Because, and Dr. Pitts also alluded to this earlier, the old school coach where the coach was just this, giant jerk, always yelling, always cursing. Don't you dare talk back. Don't you dare sit there and say, coach, don't talk to me like that. Kind of that era has kind of gone and passed. But I mean, and let's be real, in the spirit of competition, in the spirit of, training young men, we both know this as young men. If you don't stay on us, we will sit there and figure out how to cross that line of getting away with stuff and not doing stuff. So as a coach, how has it been over the course of the years developing your voice and understanding which kids you can kind of, light a fire under them, and also those kids where I've had student athletes and I've seen players where, if a coach yell at them, they could be the most talented kid in the world, but as soon as that coach yells at them, they just shut down. It's like they just turn into a whole different player and they just tune everybody out. So for you, how has that been, finding your voice and knowing when to light a fire under a player, but also knowing that there's, another player, you can't yell at them or get on them like that, but you still got to motivate them and get your point across and offer that constructive criticism?
Man, that's great, man. Ronnie's great. I'm a professional school counselor as well, so I understand stuff like that. So, and what I try to do and get our coach staff on the same page is train them so we all see the same vision and understand the same thing. You can't coach every person the same way. You know what I'm saying? You can't teach every person the same way. So you got to find, it goes back to relationship rapport. You got to find whatever's in that one person where you can get to and find and get them to do what they need to do. You gotta understand that young man, understand what they do best, and find it and get it out of them. So that's what we do. So being a professional counselor and dealing with children on a consistent basis and understand the mental and understand all that stuff, it helps in the football field, and our coaches understand how to do it as well. Yelling, you only can reach maybe 10% about it. Sometimes a lot of people are yelling, their parents are yelling at home, and they tune you out. It goes right over your head, right? So it's not all about yelling, man. It's just about getting your point across. Sometimes when I'm yelling, I tell the kids this, don't listen to the voice, but listen to the message. So if for some reason you can't find out what the coach is trying to tell you because he's yelling or he's hyped up, just try to find the message in between that. And I'm telling you, you'll get it, okay? So that's
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I have a question from one of our listeners. He wanted me to ask you, talk about your relationship with Coach Chuck Pope when you were at Duval High School and how that also helped in your maturation as a coach.
Okay, yeah, Coach Chuck Pope, man, excellent guy. He's an entrepreneur, man. C&M business, gas oil business, man, lovely person. He helped me because he was always in my ear and telling me, give me a direction, not only on the field but off the field, and what should I do and how to get the young men together and show them a different way. So he was a big part of our coaching staff when I was at Duval, bringing that Duval powerhouse program up. So Coach Pope, man, he's an excellent person. He has excellent ideas. He's an entrepreneurship. He's a businessman. He's a boss. And I love being around people like that. It brings my level up another notch.
Awesome. All right, Coach. So I got a couple more questions for you. My next question is, what was your favorite moment as a football player, as a student athlete, whether it was high school or college? What was that one moment you always think about when you were a player?
Ooh, well, I won two state championships, and I had a game where I had about 7 sacks. I was on point, you know what I'm saying? And but this being at, it used to be Byrd Stadium and University of Maryland, this being in the middle of the field and holding up the trophy 2 times. It's just a feeling that I want my young men and coaching staff to feel, and it's just nothing like it, So yeah, that was one of the best times in my life.
What has been your favorite moment as a coach?
Well, we had a lot of favorite moments. I had an opportunity to coach great young men, and all the young men has been special to me. We had an opportunity to coach one of the best young men that came through Georges County Public Schools, Antoine Brooks, and he plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's probably one of the best players that ever came out of the state of Maryland. So we had a documentary done on us this year through the COVID year, PG-13. Dave Owens did an excellent job doing our documentary. That was an excellent job, man. We had 13 episodes done on Flowers football and how we come together as a group, come together as a coaching staff, come together as a school, gather our student athletes, to see them go on to the next level and fight through adversity. So that's been great to us. Opportunity to be in the Big 33, which is a Maryland versus Pennsylvania game.
I've heard of that. Yeah,
the game is Monday. So I coach in the game Monday up at Hershey Park over there. And next year hopefully I'll be the head coach next year.
Okay.
And then I had the opportunity to be on CNN because of Madu Williams. Madu Williams was one of the people I grew up with. And so I was on CNN. It was just a great opportunity because he donated $1 million back to the University of Maryland. So he's actually a good friend of ours, and that Coach Brady era. He's a big icon here in Maryland. So yeah, it's been great.
So who, you being a coach, you being a head coach, I'm pretty sure you are, starting to become that, inspiration for a lot of younger coaches now, that when they look up to you, like, well, I want to be like Coach Powell when I coach. I want to have, his same demeanor and philosophy. So when you were a young coach, who were some of the coaches that you studied their philosophies and helped build your own identity as a coach? Who were some of the coaches that you were favored, whether it was a coach that you played under or a coach that you looked at from a distance? Who were some of the coaches that inspired you to develop the philosophy you have today?
Oh wow, man, that's great. Well, the first coach was my mentor, and somebody that really touched me was Coach Bob Malloy, that came out of Sherwood. Changed my life completely as far as football, as far as X's and O's, and how to run a program. I really looked into that. Another coach that was really that helped me out a lot was actually Coach Lewis, which was the first coach at Duval when I first came there. And he was a young black male that he was fiery, but I learned a lot of things from him. But I also learned what not to do, because some of the things that he did has kind of made me grow as a coach today. And then there's a lot of coaches in our association that I look up to. Coach Nick Lynch was a person that he passed away. Rest in peace to Nick Lynch. But I learned a lot from him because he was a fiery guy, but he was very, very intelligent and knew his things. Ed Shields, DeLon Parrish, those guys. DeLon Parrish has won 5 state champions. He's actually our rivals, and I want to beat him. But it's been a long time, but he knows that. But I learned a lot from him, and so you gather all these things up into the pot, and you figure out what worked, what didn't work, and what best helps you and the student athletes moving forward.
So, one of the things, and me and Dr. Pitts, we are extreme advocates for, and you as well, being an HBCU graduate, I'm sorry, the importance of, our Black student athletes, of understanding that, HBCUs can be home for you. And for you as a head coach, and, we talked about, throughout the show where, kids having that mindset of wanting to go D1 and things like that. But now we're starting to see where HBCUs are starting to get more attention and more notoriety. Funds are starting to circle back into the schools. Programs are starting to pick up. So you as a Black head coach, how important do you feel it is for our Black student athletes to go home, in a sense, to go home to a HBCU where, you might not just be strictly exploited for your talent, but you learn about your culture. You learn about, being surrounded by your people of all shades and all colors and all different cultures that we have within the African-American community. How important do you think that is to advocate for our HBCUs and let people know that, look, there is great competition at HBCUs? And I'm pretty sure you can agree with this as well. When I first got to Virginia State, I was thinking, like I said, I had a D1 mindset. So when I walked on, campus at Virginia State, I'm thinking like, well, hell, like I'm definitely going to stand out here. In my freshman year, I got my butt kicked every day in practice.
That's right.
And it was another humbling moment in my playing career, because at first when I went to Virginia, I tell people one of the biggest reasons I went because they offered me a full ride. Mm-hmm. And I was grateful for that. They were the only school out of all the schools. I was recruited by over 60 schools. They were the only one to offer me a flat out full ride. And so, I'm thinking like, well, hell, I got to be the next, Jeff Saturday at center going to Virginia State. So how important is it for us to start to turn our attention to HBCUs and bring more awareness to them as a people?
Yeah, so every chance we get, I always encourage our young men to look into the HBCUs, and because it changed my life. HBCU and Virginia State was so good to me, and it changed me. I had an opportunity to also play football, but be a man of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, and just being around a lot of all those great people and Black people, man. It was just excellent, man. So we encourage the HBCU. It is a different. It's a little different, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of I've been around PWIs and institutes and all the predominantly white institutions, and there's nothing wrong with our student athletes going to the PWI. It's all great, but they will not get the same experience that they would at a HBCU. And so as maybe you may be around a cluster of, let's say, about maybe 5 to 10% of your African American people, but where you at HBCU, you're around your people are over 95% of your people. So but a lot of times, it's not. Sometimes it's the young men. Sometimes it's the parents that gets in the way. So. Because they also are brainwashed in a sense. So it's really just getting them and making them knowledgeable about our HBCUs and how great it can be. I mean, you see what Deion Sanders is doing at Jackson State and how he's pushing that program, and then everybody else now is starting. That whole conference is starting. You get more sponsorships, and you got some great football. Got some great football down there. But see, you'll never know because they never shown on the ESPN like it was this past year. So now people are starting to be aware of what they have at the HBC and the HBC. There's some good football. I have a great coach, Coach Wilson at Bowie State University, and he's a frat brother of mine. He does an excellent job with those young men. And those young men, you're going to get seen. That's the problem with a lot of our student athletes. They don't think because you go to HBCU, they're not going to have an opportunity to go to the next level, and that's not true. So
it's not true at all.
It's not true at all, bro. So because if you're good, they'll find you.
Absolutely. and to your point about Coach Deion, and this is one of the things that I've been harping on this show since he was been the head coach. And my challenge to Coach Deion Sanders and all these other NFL players who are now starting to take a vested interest at coaching at these HBCUs is it's one thing to go to the school and bring notoriety. That's amazing, and they need it. It's been long overdue. However, we both know Coach Deion is not about to be at Jackson State for the next 10, 15 years. That's just what it is. We know that.
Right.
I'm pretty sure if a D1 school writes a check big enough, he's going to leave. And that's fine. However, while he's there, my challenge to him and all these other coaches at HBCUs is Coach Deion has all the networking and pull and resources in the world. Leave that there at Jackson State. Create a system where not only, do the players get a chance, but also Black coaches. How many times have you, and this going to a HBCU, how many times did you see Black coaches being recycled through the schools because they couldn't find actually quality, adequate coaches? So not only, should he build a system for players to get noticed, but also for our Black coaches. We hear at the NFL level all the time, there's not enough minority coaches, there's not enough minority head coaches, there's not enough minority Black people in the positions of management and things like that. So these people have a very great chance of building a system that can be there long after they're gone. So to your point, Coach Wilson at Bowie, Coach Sanders at Jackson State, and things like that. My challenge to them is create a system that not only benefits the players but the coaches as well. My final question, Coach Powell, is what's a book that you would recommend to a student athlete, or what's one of your favorite books that you've read that you would recommend to a student athlete to read?
Ooh, that's a good one. I don't really have any favorite books, but I do challenge them. I do challenge our players to because I kind of move into the movies because that's what I like them to do. Because a lot of our players watch a lot of movies and stuff. So I kind of challenge them and I send them more. Of course, you got to watch all the football movies, but to get the old school. I was talking to it. I think it just dropped my mind. Old school HBCU feel of what's the movie with the fraternities and sororities? It just dropped my mind real quick. Back in the School Days. I love. Yeah, I tell them. You watch them. You get just them to get an atmosphere, a look on how college is, right? I want to get their mind on college and how it is because I want them to have high aspirations to go to college and better themselves in this. So my dad used to sit me down. And I love my dad, man. He used to sit me down and we'll watch Roots together. We'll watch all these movies together, and he'll educate me on how our culture is and and what to look for. So I try to when I have time with some of these student athletes to try to get them and challenge them to sit down with their parents and let them teach them a little bit about the culture and everything like that. But yeah, I don't have really a book, Ronnie, but I do try to push them in the way of movies.
got one last question before I pass it over back to Dr. Pitts. You being a former player and a coach now, for me, you know, as much as I love playing on Saturday afternoons, there was nothing like those Friday night lights. You know, nothing like walking out of that locker room on a Friday night after school and being in that aura. So for you as a former player and a coach, which one did you appreciate more, those Friday night lights or those Saturday afternoons at Rogers Stadium?
Oh, that's a good question. You know, as a football player, I love Friday night lights. I love playing. I just love playing at night. I love playing in front of a packed stadium at night. And then, but there's nothing like being at Rogers Stadium, especially during homecoming, and you're flooded. I mean, woo!
I missed homecoming so much last year, man.
Oh my God. I mean, I came out that tunnel dancing because it was just so many people. And then you go and you see the bros, you see all the bros. Shout out to the Qs, the bros out there, man, because they out there, they support you. And the woo-woos. The woo-woos.
Talk about it.
You know what I'm talking, right? The woo, they a woo-woo, and that just made me want to play a little bit harder, you know. Well, we had a great Trojan Explosion band too. Now, don't get it twisted. So, I mean, yeah, it's nothing like an atmosphere, the college HBCU atmosphere. It's nothing like it. But Friday Night Lights, as far as football, was probably my best.
Coach Powell, man, thank you. Look, Coach Powell, we're gonna have to bring you back on during the football season and get an update on how y'all doing. And I'm gonna have to see you at homecoming, Coach Powell. We're gonna have to make that work. We're gonna have to link up during home. I know the bros, y'all be deep at homecoming. Y'all be over there behind Foster and got it locked down.
Hey, you may see me stepping and turning and doing everything because you know we new side chapter. That's what we known for, stepping. You know what I mean?
Stepping bros, man. 7-time conclave champs. I already know, man. I already know.
Precision. But I want to thank you. I want to thank you, Dr. Pitt. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you, Ted. It was man. This has been love, and I appreciate the time and the opportunity to just get exposure and put out our program as well. And I'll be happy to come back. I love it.
So
Definitely.
I'm so glad you said that, Coach Powell, because I'm always forward thinking. So what I would like to do right now is publicly extend an invitation to you to come back in the fall. I know during the season is a bit difficult, and we're hoping that as we're moving forward next fall, that we'll actually be airing live from some of the key HBCU games throughout the season. My hope, though, is that perhaps at the end of your season, you know, after you win this next championship and all that stuff.
True.
At the end of the upcoming season, we would love to have you and your team captains back to join us on the show, to have those conversations with us, to really get the scholar athlete's perspective of what it's like to be a student athlete, to perhaps have them share their experience about COVID, about playing for you, their hopes, goals, dreams, and aspirations, and things like that. I think that would be just so powerful for our listening audience and our viewing audience that are actually scholar athletes themselves, or that are parents of scholar athletes who perhaps their own child doesn't necessarily talk to them openly and honestly about their experience. So I want to extend that invitation to you right now. I'll follow up and harass you and all of that stuff as it gets closer to the time, but certainly want to plant that seed. What a powerful show it's been. I thank you so very much for joining us. It truly has been our honor and our privilege. And as someone that is intimately connected to the Prince George's County and Montgomery County, you know, Maryland, DC, Virginia area, the whole 9 yards. I actually am from Southern New Jersey, but grew up stomping around the 4200 block of Benham Road in Northeast and over Largo, where look, this all built up now, and the Largo, and all that stuff wasn't back there, you know, Campus Way South and PG College, and jumping the creek to go over to the tennis courts and the basketball courts at PG College and all that stuff, and zooming on out. You know, folk act like Six Flags was always there. Stop playing. Six Flags wasn't always there on Central Avenue. You're gonna cut that out. They didn't have, look, the blue line used to end at Addison Road. You know, folks don't know nothing about all that stuff. But I say all that to say that DMV is near and dear to my heart. I still have
Yes.
family and friends literally all over that area, family and friends in Bowie, and just love the area and what you all are doing there with your program. And just thank you so very much for the emphasis that you and your staff and your school administrators are putting on the importance of education, the importance of behavioral and mental health, the importance of how all of that connects holistically to athletic performance. So just thank you so much. Keep doing what you're doing. Ronnie and I are at your disposal. You want us to come in and talk to your team and have some
No
kind, you know,
doubt.
we're
Yeah.
accessible. Don't hesitate to call on us to join in this journey with you to help to better the academic and athletic trajectory of the athletes coming through Flowers. Thank you so very much, sir, for your time. To our
Thank you
viewing
again, Coach.
audience,
Thank you.
happy Memorial Day. Have a safe and happy and social distance. Pandemic's not over. Be safe eating those ribs and corn on the cob and collard greens and deviled eggs and potato salad and macaroni and all that good stuff that you're gonna do throughout this weekend. Enjoy yourself, but enjoy yourself safely. Drink responsibly, eat responsibly. Thank you so much. We will see you all right back here next week at this time. Have a good weekend, everybody. Thank you.